friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on with this chopping block. I was recently looking at my makeup collection and I realized there were a number of items that I wanted to pull and make a concerted effort to use in order to make a final decision on. This is typically how I do the decluttering process. I don't tend to just look at my makeup and decide to get rid of things. I tend to pull them out, use them, and then based on that usage, decide whether or not it should stay in my collection or not. I very much envy those who can just look and decide and not have to apply stuff, but that's just not how I operate. So I thought I would go ahead and share with you guys what those items are because it spans a good facet of the makeup collection, and I thought perhaps by putting it in this video and then doing a follow-up, it will really hold me to really testing them out. It's also helpful like as I come to the end of the year and I start to think about future panning projects, what I might want to be able to focus on and not get bogged down by the sheer volume of stuff, especially if it's not all great quality. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a makeup sponge. I have this bad habit of purchasing a makeup sponge before I need it, and then it sits in my collection and goes unused for a very long time. And sometimes when I actually use it, I end up not liking it, so it didn't need to sit in my collection for as long as it did. For this particular sponge, that's kind of been the story. I've had this sponge for a while. It is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge, I think it's called. This thing is freaking huge. I recently used up a beauty blender and I was looking at my other ColourPop sponge and I think that one's kind of on the way out too. Rather than pull out another beauty blender or another ColourPop sponge, I figured I would try to decide if I like this. My initial impression of it, I've only used it once. The texture is a little bit different from other sponges that I've tried, and it's also ginormous. Like, looking at my face and looking at this sponge, proportionally it's a little bit off. So I want to see if it's actually worth my usage or if I should just go ahead and pitch it and take out one of my favorites. Along that same vein as the sponge, there's actually a foundation that I want to make a final decision on. It is, at this point, one of my older foundations and also one of my most expensive, and that is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. I haven't been pulling this out for two reasons. I remember thinking that when I last wore it, it looked a little heavy, like it looked like a noticeable foundation on my face, and that is not the look I tend to want to go for. I'm much more of a medium coverage, like you could still see my freckles or blemishes through it, and I just need to put a little bit extra concealer on if I have a blemish. I'm not looking for a really full, heavy coverage foundation. I'm fortunate that I don't have a lot of skin issues that I'm trying to correct. I'm more just trying to even my skin out. So I sort of always associate this as being a heavy foundation. I also recall that I felt like this oxidized a little bit on me and thus wasn't the best color match. And I haven't been wanting to mix lately. I've wanted to just use a singular foundation item. So I keep passing this over and I just need to decide if I want to use it and keep it or if I want to let it go. There's no sense in it having just sit here and plague my collection. So I need to pull it out and reacclimate myself to this and decide if it's worth panning or getting rid of. Another one-off item that I want to look at is a powder. This is the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Pressed Powder in Light 20. I think there are a couple of factors that sort of dictate how my under eye lines are exposed or not exposed with my face. I think it depends on how dry my under eyes are. I think it also depends on what type of concealer I'm using and how well it resists sinkage, and then also I think it depends on how well I apply the little filler that I put, the little silicone filler that I put under my eyes, which also helps fill in those fine lines. But when I was still figuring that stuff out, I was at Sephora looking for a setting powder, and I described to the Sephora lady there my issue, and she suggested that perhaps I try a colored powder to use to set my under eyes versus a translucent powder, because she thought that that might be a little bit thicker and also might help sort of blend in with my skin better. I'm not really sure. There was a theory she explained, it sounded legit. But rather than buy an expensive Sephora pressed powder, I was trolling through Rite Aid and found this one for 79 cents. So I decided to pick it up, but I've really never used it. It just sort of has sat here. So I need to go ahead and make a decision and see if I'm somebody who needs this type of powder, if this is it, or go back to the translucent powders that I've been relatively satisfied with. But either way, it can't just keep sitting here unused. All right, now we're moving into the latter half of this chopping block where I have multiple items in a single category. We will start with lip gloss. I have been on like a lip gloss tear. I've been really compelled to want to purchase lip glosses lately. I've just been really into them. I don't really know what's going on. I'm always a lip gloss person, but I've been pretty satisfied for a while with the lip glosses that I have. But this year, like I'd say in the last like 3 months, I've been like, let me try them all. Well, while I was going back and looking at my glosses, there are 3 glosses that I basically think are like a lip topper type gloss. Like it's a clear gloss with some sparkles or glitter in it. And I just don't know if I need all 3 of them. I definitely don't need all 3 of them, but I'm trying to figure out if I need any of them. The ones that I have one from Anastasia Beverly Hills in Moon Jelly, which looks like this. It has like a bluey purple sort of glimmer to it, as you can see here. Then I have what feels like a very similar version of that with Buxom. This is their full-on lip polish in Emma. And this is more of like a pinky gold type of shimmer in there. I'm just not sure. I feel like I never reach for them, and maybe it's because I don't really apply like a lipstick or a lip liner, which, small tangent, I have been wanting a lip liner lately. Don't know who I am. We'll talk about this more in my Project Pan update, so stay tuned for that. Advice will be sought for. But I feel like because I tend to just apply a gloss and I use that to produce color on my lips, I don't ever think of going for the clear glitter one because that's not a look I really like on its own. Next one that I have is from Milani. It's their Ludicrous Lip Gloss in Light Luster, or Luster Light. I thought this was the formula from Milani that I actually love, which is this. I thought I was getting the Milani Keep It Full in this shade, but it's not, and I don't recall loving it the first time I put it on, so I want to make a concerted effort to give this a try, see if I like it, and if not, say bye-bye to it. Second category I have multiple products from is blush. I have 2 blushes that I want to make an effort to test out and see if they're worth keeping. First blush that I have is a Benefit blush. It's the Dandelion blush, and it comes in the mini size. You guys know my thoughts on this, but in case you don't know or you have forgotten, I would prefer all companies to sell small versions of all blushes, bronzers, and highlighters. I know there are a lot of people, when companies do come out with products like this, they're like, oh, it's not very good price per gram compared to the full size. Girl, are you finishing up those products? Because I'm certainly not. Like, I don't care if it's not good price per value as like a consumer. I would rather get a smaller product and use it up. I have tried to pan this. Foolish, young, naive panning Victoria tried to pan this and realized that it's real hard, real freaking hard. And to be honest, I feel like I should like this blush. Like, it is meant to be a soft, like, pink color, and I feel like I would be all for that, but I never gravitate towards it. I always gravitate towards my Rockateur. I feel like that is me in a blush. I love, 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 love that blush. I've been trying to pan it all year, and it's been a joy because I do love it. So I just want to see if I actually still like this shade, and if so, I'll keep it, but if not, I'll pitch it and start to decrease the bloated nature that is my blush collection. Other blush that I have is a blush that for a while I felt like was a favorite, but I feel like I've been saying that for a couple of years, and I don't know the last time I pulled this blush out. This is a Julep blush. Again, want to just toot Julep's horn. I feel like they make, or made, I'm not even sure they still exist to be honest, I feel like they make good products, but they're just overpriced. This I got because of a Julep Maven box. That was where I got most of my products because that was a fair price point, but buying stuff just on the website was never legit. So this is their Glow Pore Minimizing Blush in Peach Bellini. I don't have too many peach blushes. I think this is like maybe 1 or 2 that I have. And part of my issue was it kind of shattered on me, and for a while I wouldn't touch it for that reason. But I recently, like in the last couple of months, repressed it and haven't touched it since. So I just want to see if I like this formula still, if it's still like worth keeping and if it works for me. Again, if so, I'll happily keep it. I'm not going to get rid of blushes just to get rid of them. But if it doesn't rock my socks anymore, it needs to go. I have so many blushes, I don't need to be keeping dead weight in my blush collection. The final category is highlighters. Ho, 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 my friends. I have been trying desperately all year to scrutinize my highlighters, and I've just stuck with my two favorites. But now is the time to make some decisions because this area out of all collections of makeup is just too much. So I've pulled ones that I am truthfully not quite sure jive with my skin tone or with my eyeshadow preferences, because that is how I choose highlighter, is based off of the eye looks that I am rocking. So the first one that I have is the only highlighter I own from Fenty Beauty. Again, part of the reason why I ended up with this is I was trying to purchase miniature items, and last year when they launched their Christmas stuff, they had a mini gloss bomb with one of the highlighters, and I just went for it. This is in the shade Sandcastle. It's the Kilowatt Foil highlighter, by the way. This I think is gorgeous, but I am not sure it is the right tone for my skin. Whenever I swatch it, I immediately think of a highlighter. So I'm not ruling this out as getting rid of it for my eyes and using it as an eyeshadow versus a highlighter, because like when I see it on my hand, I don't know, that just feels like it's not a good call for me. Like it just feels too harsh of a highlighter for my skin. So I'm gonna try it as both a highlighter and an eyeshadow. If I don't like it for either, it's out of here, but if I like it for one or the other, I will hold on to it. Next one that I have plucked for this little project is from Becca. It's my Becca Vanilla Quartz highlighter. So I purchased this, I want to say last year, or maybe it was in the spring. I don't quite remember when, but I was very intentional with the purchase. I was trying to find a like white icy type of highlighter. I really have been looking for the one that they came out with in a little trio. I think it was called Ice, but they haven't come out with it as a powder. And when I was looking at the online swatches, this looked like it could be white, but it really is leaning like more very light gold. And that wasn't exactly what I wanted. Like I'm not hurting for gold highlighters in my collection, so I don't really pull it out that often. I mean, granted, it is light. It is meant to be a light white leaning gold, but I'm just not sure, and I never really pull it out, so I've never really given it a fair try. I want to do that and see if it can stay, and if not, she gone. The next three all come from Jouer. I like had a real hot moment with Jouer where they came out with mini highlighters as Christmas sets, so I bought both of them. In hindsight, I'm not sure I needed both of them. The one that I really loved, I shattered so badly I had to throw it away, which sucked. So the other ones that I'm left with that I'm testing out here are Topaz, Skinny Dip, and Citrine. I again am just not sure if they're the best call for my skin tone. So this is what Topaz looks like. It's like a goldy, bronzy type of highlight. Next one is Skinny Dip. I feel like this is the one that they are very well known for, and this is a very like goldy, bronzy type of highlight. And then the last one that they have is Citrine, and this is more of like a light bronzy gold. It's a little bit lighter. I've got it all the way here. I mean, I love these on the skin. They're gorgeous, but I'm just not sure these three tones match for me, and I've used them the least. I made a big dent on Ice before I shattered that to smithereens, and I also have a pink one. So we'll see how it all goes, but those are the items that I am trying to make a concerted effort on to see if they in fact can exist in my collection, if they deserve usage, or if they don't work for me. So I'm gonna follow up with you guys, hopefully sooner rather than later. Depending on how it all goes, I might do one update or two, we will see, but wish me well, and I would love to know from you if there are any items that you're trying to test out before the year is over and decide if they can stay in your collection. I very much appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on these items, and I'll talk to you in my next video real soon. Bye.